Now, this is a great example of how animals don't want to mess with things that they think they're going to lose to because, well, they're not stupid. This crocodile is sitting there and this man is leaning on the beach and he's talking about how as soon as he stands up and shows that he's bigger, this crocodile is going to flee. And you'll notice as soon as he stands up and starts walking towards it, it gets freaked out, spooked. It's like, nope, I don't want anything to do with you. Pretty much all animals have this kind of reaction. You know, a smaller animal will still go after you, but as soon as you really become big, oftentimes a smaller animal will get away. Crocodiles, bears are no exception. This is another example with the crocodile. That thing is massive. That thing shouldn't be afraid of them, but it's a bigger thing. It's noisy. That dude didn't turn around and try to fight. He just ran away. These people are about to start screaming at this bear, and as soon as he does, he shakes himself. He's like, oh crap. And he starts walking away. He's like, I don't want anything to do with that. In any situation, making yourself look a lot bigger than you actually are can sometimes be the reason why you make it. Here's the thing. Most of the time, hippos and crocodiles live together relatively peacefully. They kind of understand that each one can do a number on the other, and they kind of just live and let live. If crocodiles are sitting there on the bank and the hippos want to be up there, well, they might wait a little bit until they start nudging them out of the way. But eventually the hippos want to be there sunbathing where the crocodiles are. It becomes too much and they will go out of their way to move crocodiles out of the way, and usually the crocodiles just go. They're not bothered too terribly much. Even the baby hippos will see the mother doing this and get in on it. Literally sitting on this crocodile. The crocodile gives them a little nip like, what the heck, dude? And they just all go about their day. And it goes as smoothly because crocodiles know that hippos can do a lot of damage. But there was one crocodile that the hippos did not mess with. When Gustav came through, hippos got out of the way. If you want to know more about Gustav the Maneater, go to my YouTube channel. I have a full video on him. This is a really cool situation. This is an eastern king snake about to eat an eastern rat snake, or in this case, it's a black eastern rat snake. Now, it's called a king snake because, well, they're the king of the snakes in the area they live. If it has king in the name, it probably eats other snakes. Now, there are many species of king snakes all over the United States and into Mexico, South America. They're just all over the place. And the one thing they really have in common is the love of other snakes. This speckled king snake, which is from like the Louisiana, Mississippi area, loves to munch on copperheads. Now this, I believe, is a California king snake. They love rattlesnakes. How many times do I have to tell you guys, rattlesnakes get eaten by everything. If you have a black snake around your house in the United States, it's a good snake. Even the black rat snake that king snake ate earlier in the video are called rat snakes because they eat a lot of rodents. Messing with crocodilians, no matter how small, never really seems to work out for the person. Working with any animal has its inherent dangers, but working with something like a crocodilian, which tends to be known for how strong they can bite, is probably not a good idea. I mean, even the trained professionals seem to run into issues a lot when it comes to crocodilians. I mean, this guy got very lucky. That gator just was like, get off me, leave me alone. He got very lucky. But what happens if it was bigger? Are you telling me you think someone would mess with a crocodile this size? I seriously doubt it. Oh, damn, I spoke way too soon. I understand there is a need to deal with large crocodilians sometimes, and these parks do a lot of good for the animals, but at the same time, when you put yourself in a situation like this, you are setting yourself up for the inherent risk. That croc was simply like, please just leave me alone now. Raccoons look cute and cuddly, and they can be, but if you see them during the day like this, there's a potential that there could be something wrong with them. That certain something being rabies. And rabies is a pretty big deal if you didn't realize that. The video I originally saw that made me want to talk about this was a kid who had rabies, and he was aquaphobic, meaning he didn't want to drink any water and he was scared to do so. Once you start showing symptoms of rabies, that's it. You are 100% going to die. And one of the symptoms in animals is, well, and people too, is just outright aggression, and will be out during the day and will come right up to you and just attack you for no reason. You basically just go crazy, you fear water, you start looking for water, but you can't drink it. And the only person to survive was basically put so their body temperature was below average and the fever passed, but they had permanent brain damage. If you get bit by a mammal, go get medical attention immediately. Seagulls are thieves. We all know this. They've gotten so used to people that they're comfortable with just taking food right out of our mouths. But seagulls are still wild animals, and guess what? They're birds, so they're mostly intelligent. You might think of them as dumb, squawking rats with wings, but these guys are killers. Like most birds, if it can fit in this thing's mouth, it's gonna eat it. And they live in the wild, not just around people. They live in the middle of nowhere as well, and they gotta hunt for their food. Rat, go right down the gullet. Pigeon, you're coming right home with me. I'm eating you. Hot dog, get your mind out of the gutter. But these modern day dinosaurs are smart, so some of them, why would they rough it out in the wild when they can just get carry out? As long as people are around, they got a pretty easy meal, so why would they do anything different? There are a lot of things in the snake world that are thought to be true, but simply are not. That's not a real hand, by the way. I was watching Joe Rogan yesterday, and I heard this come up.
They say, like, with snakes, if their eyes are like a slit, like slit, or if they're round, the snake's fine, not poisonous, not dangerous. If they're slits, poisonous.
This king cobra is known to be one of the most deadly snakes on the planet. It's an elapid, round pupils. Vipers, like rattlesnakes, do have slit pupils. Elapids, like coral snakes and cobras, have round pupils. You're probably not going to get close enough to see it, though, that's for sure. And if you really want to get into the weeds, hognose snakes, which are rear fang snakes, even though their venom is not medically significant to people, have round pupils. He did walk his comment back a couple minutes later, but this is a very common misconception. Anyone who knows that this guy right here probably deserved that bite. Very rarely do nurse sharks bite, and especially unprovoked. You usually got to be messing with them. This guy went out to see what it would take to get a nurse shark to bite him. He literally put the food up to his shoulder, and they sucked the food off of his skin and didn't bite him once. They suck in stuff, so they have to literally go out of their way to bite you, and they latch on, they suck in and grab on if they're really irritated. But animals are animals, and sometimes when you're in their territory, stuff kind of happens. And an animal can get spooked and just go all sorts of crazy, even when they normally, as a species, won't do that. Like this little baby nurse shark here just went wild on these guys. And that's why with this guy latching onto this dude, he must have really been messing with it. Just a vulture? I tell you what, vultures are some of the most important animals on this planet. I'm sure we've all heard about the smells, how they can literally smell things from miles away, and they hone in and they pick a carcass clean, but that's only part of it. The stomach acid is so strong. In a vulture, its pH is below a 1, like just above 0. It's so strong that vultures have no problem digesting anthrax and botulism. It just dies in their stomach. So even though they get into some of the most disgusting of situations, their bald head helps it so that they don't get leftover gunk all over them. It helps keep them clean. They also just don't get sick from it. They will then poop all over their legs because the high acidity helps keep bugs away and acts as a natural sunblock. So what exactly is this snake doing? Well, he's periscoping. Now, for lack of a better term, snakes obviously don't have legs, can't stand up. They're one long tube, so what do they got to do to be able to see everything around them and to get a gauge of what's going on? Well, they got to stand straight up, and the term is periscoping. Like a mullet jumping out of the water to be able to get a gauge of its surroundings, a bear standing up on its hind legs. Well, snakes can only put about, a quarter of their body up in the air, so that's what they do, and the term is periscope.